take you along with me as I attempt to make my first embroidery patches. I purchased the embroidery patch making software from Embroidery, and I'm really excited about it. It's called Merrowly, and I've already loaded it onto 2 USB drives. I will be doing this on my PE800. I'm also going to be making a patch on my MB4. So let's get started. Let me show you what I have so far. This is for my PE800, and I cut out a piece of material already for my Janome right here. I've already also loaded the design into my PE800 here. And I've already loaded the design into my Janome MB4. So I'm just going to come back over here and prepare my hoops. I'm going to use this peel and stick, the sticky sulky. I'm using 4x4 hoops. I like to use my little rotary cutter here. This one I only use for cutting paper. I have some other rotary cutters that I use just for material only. So there's the one, and this one is for my Janome. So I feel that I did enough reading to have this hopefully turn out halfway decent. I'm going to see how these two different ones compare. And I'm going to just go over here and iron everything. So I have this. Stuck on my vacuum. I'm just going to iron that. I'm going to iron this piece of material. Okay, nice and flat. Iron that. I'm going to be using the sticky adhesive for the backing when it's all finished, so I can iron it on. I have these two pieces now, and I'll just use this peel and stick here. I'm hoping it'll turn out okay. I was pretty excited about buying these different softwares. I have Stitch Artist 2, I have Embroidery Enthusiast, I have the Thumbnailer, and that's about everything I have right now from Embroidery. So this design calls for an applique. I am going to use like a dark blue material. My son's team's name is the Cubs. And oops, this one goes, oops, that one goes with this one. Oh, okay, there we go. Nice and flat. That looks really good. So now I'm just going to screw this down. I just used a cotton material. I read you could use jeans material or patch twill, but I am just using this plain cotton material for the first time trying out patches. So that's for my PE800. And this is for my Janome. I want to make sure that it's all nice and flat. That looks good. Okay, I will get the PE800 started first. This actually doesn't look that good. It's a little loose in there. I'm going to re-hoop this. Actually going to iron that before I put it on. Okay, so let me try that one again. Oops. Okay, that looks better. So now I'm going to go over here to my PE800 and get this started. And it's in the Cubs. His team's name is the Cubs. I'm going to set that. Okay, here is the design. I'm using my 4x4 hoop, and I'm going to end edit, and I'm going to have to change my thread color because it is red. I'm going to just set this up here while I do that and zoom in a little, and then I'll bring you in a little closer. So I'm going to set this up on my PE800. And I'm going to remove this thread because I'm using red today. And you just always want to pull your thread down. Don't ever pull it back up through. It's not good for your machine. I know it's kind of noisy out there. The fountain is on out there. I'm just going to shut my window. Okay. I'll get a little more light here. So I'm going to choose red. And I'm going to thread my machine. This red is not very bright. I'm going to choose a different red. I like this one better. really like that spool holder. You can kind of see it in the back over here. It holds 20 different colors, so I don't have to search around so much. So I always hold my embroidery thread when I'm threading the machine. Just seems to go in much better. And I just trim the end off. I always find that it works better for me to just thread it myself instead of using the automatic threader. Okay, for some reason that's not working as well as it usually does. I know when the weather changes, it's a little harder to thread needles, and we have had a weather change. It's supposed to be like 76 here today. It's actually pretty easy over, this is just not going in for some reason. I think I probably used too much of the spray adhesive last time. Maybe my needle's all gummed up. Oh, that is really hard right now. Sorry about this. Okay, let me get that. See, whenever I use that, it just doesn't really work very well. Okay, I'm not doing that anymore. It is just not going in. Yeah, my needle is all gummed up. I'm gonna go get another needle. I'll be right back. I like using these needles. Okay. Okay, I was being really lazy and trying to use this, but I better go get the little round key. Okay, here's the little round key. So I'm just going to change my needle. They do recommend that you change your needle with every project, and I don't do that. I just change it when I feel like it needs to be changed. So here's the needle, and it was all gummed up. You want to make sure that the scarf is pointing forward, and you want to make sure that this flat part of the needle is on the back. So I'm going to get rid of this needle. I'm going to just replace it with a new one. And then it should be a lot easier to thread. So I've never made a patch before. And again, I'm really pretty excited about doing this because I've been wanting to do this for a while. And I might start selling them on Etsy. I haven't made up my mind yet, but people have asked me if I could make patches, and in the past I've said no, and now I'm going to be able to just tell them yes. Okay, see how easy that went in? That's just so much easier than using that threader. I think a lot of people end up having that threader that comes with the machine get bent, and I know that happened with my regular sewing machine, so I stopped using it, and I just never really used it with this machine. Okay, so it's all ready to go. I'm going to start the embroidery and put this down, hit start, finish editing the pattern before sewing the pattern. Okay, and now I'm going to hit embroidery, and this is going to do the applique first, and I have a blue backing that I'm going to put down, and I will get that and put it on here so that it will start. I'll be right back. This is the blue material I'm going to use. Again, his team is the Cubs, so I'm going to do blue and red. And this, I'm going to bring you a little closer so you can see what's going on with this. Here we go. So there's my embroidery that I'm going to do. I'll let you see it stitch out here. So I'm going to put down my material. My needle really got all gummed up last time I used my spray adhesive. So I'm just going to spray a little bit of adhesive on this material. I'm using spray and bond. And hopefully it won't have too much glue on it. try and get that right in the middle. And again, hopefully it won't leave too much of a sticky residue on my needle. So this is the applique position. I'm going to start my machine. Enough. My guess is probably not. And it skipped some stitches. Usually when that happens with my machine, it is because I need to rethread the bobbin. So I'm going to rethread my bobbin, and then I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to try doing this again, because I have a feeling that this is not going to be enough space on the side. I don't think the white is going to cover that. So like I said, this is just all, ooh, that's kind of close, huh? This is like my first time trying to do a patch. So this is kind of like trial and error here for me. And I feel that after I do this patch, my next one will turn out much better. But this design I did put in was very easy. It took me like less than a few minutes to put in. All I did was I opened up my patch program, and it's under utilities, and then I just started to put in the lettering cubs, and then I saved it. I like to use these pre-wound bobbins, and I'm just going to rethread this. And like I said, usually when I rethread, it fixes that problem, because this is the first time I've used this machine in probably a good, I don't know, week or so. I've been using my Janome a lot lately. Okay, so while I'm at this, I'm going to change my thread again, because the red is actually the last thing on this pattern project. So I'm just going to go with white, because I'll use that as my applique stitch. And then the very next color is going to be white for the surrounding part of the patch. So I'm just threading my machine right now with the white. And like I was saying, this is my first time attempting a patch on my PE800. I always like to pull my thread out just a little, because I want to make sure it has good tension and it feels nice in there. And I'm going to try this again. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. And I'm going to remove this. Okay, I'm going to put this applique over the top here. And I'm going to try it again. Okay, here is my second try. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to start the machine. And let's see how it turns out this time. Oh, it's shredding. My needle is shredding. Okay, my thread, it was shredding. Let's check it out. Why did this happen? Okay, maybe I didn't thread it properly. Let me try that again. Okay. I changed my needle. I threaded the bobbin. I am rethreading the upper thread. I pulled out some of my bobbin thread. Okay, I'm going to try this again, and I'm going to go back about 20 stitches. Okay, let's see. Hopefully that works. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Going to see any of this after the patch is done because I'm going to end up cutting it. So now the next thing it's going to do is it's going to do the outline of the cub's patch. What I want to do right now though is I need to trim away all of this extra material so that it looks really nice, because this is like the applique part of it. So I am just going to cut around here. And I plan on making a shorter video when I'm all finished with this on how to make a patch after I iron out all the kinks here. I have some duck-billed scissors that I use sometimes, but I really do like these curved scissors. I think it really helps prevent me from cutting into the stitch line. So I don't know, what do you guys like using? And as you can see, I'm a lefty, but even though I'm a lefty, these scissors work just fine. Okay, so here is this patch so far. I have a little bit more here to trim on the edges. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, now I'm going to put this back in, and it is going to do the marrow type stitch around the edges, which I'm actually really excited to watch here. It says it's going to take 10 minutes for this. part is done. Now it's going to stitch the cubs wording. So I am going to take out this white thread. I'm just gonna lift up my presser foot here, and I am going to put red thread back in. So here's a better view of my 20 spool holder embroidery thread stand, which I really love. I've talked about a few times before. Now I'm going to thread my machine, and that was the problem with this last time when I started. It got all caught up in there because I didn't thread my upper thread properly. So now I'm just threading my needle here, and when it's not all gummed up, it goes in really easily. And I think it's kind of gummy because it doesn't want to go in very well here. There it goes. So if you're ever having trouble, rethread your needle, check your needle, rethread your bobbin, and a lot of times that's the problem. Always make sure that your bobbin case is cleaned out. After you use your machine every time, clean it out. When you use your PE800 again, I find that it's always best to just rethread everything, because that usually is my problem. I don't know what happens when it's sitting there for a while, but it most of the time, or half the time at least, it doesn't seem to stitch out properly unless I just rethread everything. So I have it all ready to go for cubs lettering. I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out. So we're on this part now. I've already done the marrow edge, and it tacked down the backing on there. And now I'm just going to put my presser foot down, and we'll see how this turns out. So this is only supposed to take 3 minutes to do the cubs lettering. Okay, so now it looks like it's all done, and that turned out really nice. Okay, let me lift that up so I can take this out. Yeah, look how that turned out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take this out. I'm going to cut around it, and then I'm going to put a backing on there so it could be ironed on. I have to be really careful when I'm ironing that on, or when I'm cutting this out later. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my heat backing adhesive. I'm going to use this Ultra Hold. Oh, I hear everyone's home right now. All right, here we go. I'm just going to get a little piece and I'm going to iron it down right there. And then I'll cut it out. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to the iron. Okay. Okay, so I just turned that on, and then I'm going to iron this down, and then I'll cut it out, and then I'm going to put it on the hat. I'm going to trim off some of these extra threads. So I will be right back. Okay, so everybody's home right now, and I am going to finish this up, and I'm going to iron it on, and I'm just going to trim off these extra threads here. Okay, so this is going to go on a hat, and I have my hat right here. So it's going to go on this hat. I'm going to iron it on there. Okay, so here is my sticky backing. I'm going to iron it on there. I'm just gonna put it on there. I'm not too worried about it because it is cotton, but you know, these can be kind of picky and they can melt, so you don't want it to get too hot. So that has not stuck down all the way yet, so I'm just gonna leave that on a little more. Hit that. Okay, let's check that out. It's still not totally sticky. It's starting to stick, but it's not stuck down all the way yet. So I want to make sure that it really sticks on there. And I want to make sure that it doesn't, you know, melt this too. So we're getting there, but you could see it still hasn't stuck down all the way yet. So I'm going to try this some more. Okay, I feel like it's getting there. Okay, yeah, it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim all the way around. I want to get really close here. If anyone has used a hot knife, I would love to hear about that. I'm going to just move over here into some better lighting. Okay, back to trimming this again. Okay. Well, it's actually looking really good. I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to cut off any of these threads here because I don't want to ruin this patch. I wonder if some of those will come out. Not really. Okay. Well, you know, that's a learning lesson for me. I have to make sure I cut really close. And I will be sure to do that next time. Okay, just trimming very carefully here around the edges. I do not want to trim off any of these marrow stitches. Yeah, this part here was pretty bad. That I didn't get close enough to. I'm getting a little braver here around the edge. Trying to get a little closer. Okay, almost done. Okay. Getting closer. Look at that. Okay, I'm just going to cut off this little stitch there. Not bad. What do you guys think? Not bad for my first try. I am going to be doing this again with my PE800, and not my PE800, with my MB4, my Janome MB4. I have it all ready to go, but I am going to have to stop this live stream in a few minutes after I iron this to the hat. Okay, it's getting there. I think a lot of it turned out really nice, like where I didn't leave some of the applique out. Actually looks really nice. I'm going to try and trim this some more. Just get it as close as possible. I'm thinking maybe I could even try using like some fray check or some fabric glue right there. It's not bad. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. And it'll be all ready to wear for opening day tomorrow. But there's like a 50 to 60% chance of rain during the opening ceremony. And then the hour before is like a 70% chance of rain. So we're hoping things will change. And right after this, we're going to go outside and practice hitting the ball off of the tee, and we're going to throw some balls around. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think so far? I'm thinking that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going back to the iron because we're going to iron it on. And the back didn't seem to stick all that well, so we'll have to see what happens there. Now let me just fix this. And I'm going to just do that a little more here. Make sure that's nice and sticky. Now I'm going to plug in my itty bitty iron. This is my itty bitty iron. Okay. Plugging that in. Okay. Here's my cute little iron. And now I'm just going to use my little lint roller there. I'm turning that off. And I have this hat here. And I'm going to try to angle the hat so that I could get this on best I can. And it's going to look like that. I wonder if I like the white. Maybe that should have been blue. I think if that would have been blue, that probably would have been better. Right? I'm going to get my son's hat and do a little comparison. I'll be right back. So here is his little hat that he has, and here is the hat that we're going to iron this on. So my plan was to get this really nice and sticky, and then I was going to stick it down, and then I was going to use this to iron on the other side, and then on the top I'm going to put a piece of fabric over so this doesn't melt. So we're going to do it like that, and I'm just going to iron this and get this glue nice and sticky. So it's kind of warm. I'm going to peel this off, and it's kind of sticky. And it's kind of hot. Be sure you don't burn yourself. And we're going to put this patch on right about here. And now, while it's nice and hot, I'm going to iron this down. And you want to iron it for like a minute and a half is what I'm reading, especially with these durable materials like cotton. You want to make sure you're not burning it off. Like, you know, like I was saying, the embroidery threads, they will melt, so you want to be really careful. Just keep swirling it around. It's lifting here, so it's pretty durable. You just don't want to burn your material. You don't want to melt the threads either. And back to the other side, and I'm just checking it, and it just keeps kind of flopping off. I'm wondering if it's the material that's making it kind of hard to stick to. Okay, let me check that. Yeah, it just keeps lifting. I think what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm just going to have to sew it on because it is not sticking really at all. So I'm just going to bring it over to my sewing machine now. Okay. So here is my sewing machine. Turn my light on here. And I'll turn this light on. So we have a lot of light here. I have black thread in my machine right now, so I'm going to have to change that. See how easy that was? It's so easy to thread when it's not all gummed up. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this really low, and I need to see about getting this all the way in I'm going to go really, really slow around here. And I'm going to back stitch. I'm going forward again, and I'm going back, going forward again, and I am just going to stitch this around really slow. I'm gonna lift this up and angle it a little more here. Okay, I'm turning it and angling it. I don't know if you could see that. Let me get a little closer here. There we go. Okay, I'm angling this again. And I'm turning it again. As long as I stay on the marrow edge, it will look fine and it will hold on a lot better. I just thought that if I ironed this onto a hat, it would actually come out really nice, but it is not. So I will be embroidering a dad hat on my PE800 and my Janome, because I do have another video where I show how this is not going to go in very well over here. I will try it, but I'm not very confident unless I kind of push it through. Oh, there, yeah, it's going. Okay. Oops. Ah, that was the first stitch I got onto the blue. I wonder if you could tell. Not really. Okay. I'm turning. Oops. Okay. Okay. This is actually really kind of tough. I probably should have moved it. Okay. Almost done. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of back stitches here. Okay, and I'm finished. This is pretty thick. Okay. Yeah, looks like I'm done. Oh no, look what I did. I accidentally stitched it on the little sweatband part, so I'm gonna have to redo that again. Oh, I should have paid attention a little more here. Okay, so what I need to do here is just take these out. So I'm just seam ripping all that out, and then I will sew that down again. Okay, But here's how it turned out. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so let me just try it on. There you go. So I like it. I think next time though, I'm going to make sure that I use a royal blue around the edges, or whatever I use. I think I'm going to make sure that it matches, especially like when I'm doing a hat. I think that will be better. And then for hats, I'll just have to keep in mind we have to just sew it down because I have to redo this part. But I sewed all of this and it turned out fine. I just have to redo this part. All right, well, thanks for watching. And when I do these dad hats on my machine, I will do another video on that pretty soon. I did do a structured hat and it did not turn out as well as I hoped. So I'm really hoping that with these dad hats, it'll turn out a lot better. All right, if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.